change things around. YouTube's on.
Okay.
They're recording.
And I will go ahead and call us to order. This is City Council, Monday, February 9th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Darren Miller,
Here.
Eric Sarine,
Here.
Jen Mazias, thumbs up, Jen. Doug Ament. Dave Anderson.
Here.
Don Benson.
Here.
Jared Trumbo.
Here.
Quorum is met.
Thank you. Next is the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Our next item is the approval of minutes from the council meeting on January 12th, 2026.
I'll make the motion to accept.
Motion by Darren,
Second.
second by Don. Any questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is approval of monthly expenditures.
I'll make the motion to accept.
Motion by Darren,
Second.
second by Jared. Roll call vote, please.
Jared Trumbo,
Yes.
Don Benson,
Yes.
Dave Anderson,
Yes.
Jen Mazias. I can't hear Jen.
Check chat.
Can you chat a yes on that, Jen? Eric Sarine,
Yes.
Darren Miller,
Yes.
and Jen texted yes. Thank you, Jen.
Okay, next is public comment. Is anyone here who'd like to give public comment? Please step forward, make sure the mic is on, give it a tap. Did you hear that? Yeah, yes, okay. And state your name, address, and write down your stuff.
I have already written it down. My name is Karen Novacek. I reside at 610 East 4th Street, Washburn. I come for you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, with an update and an announcement. First, the update. The Bayfield Street Ad Hoc Beautification Committee has had a brief hiatus, but it is now time to begin considering what we want to do on phase 2 of the reconstruction project of Bayfield Street. And to that end, our committee will be meeting next week. We have had some changes in membership of the committee. Susan Lynch, who has been a member since September 2023, and in fact, that's how old the beautification committee is. It was hard for me to get my head around that, but she has been a faithful member and a very contributing member to the committee. In fact, Susan was the one that came up with the idea of placing high school art on our trash and recycle bins. So we really appreciate her contribution to our committee. In consultation with the mayor, we've added 2 new members to the beautification committee, and they are business persons who have their businesses on phase 2. Amy Trimbo with Adventure Us has agreed to serve on the beautification committee, and Nick Hallstrom, an architect with the firm DSGW, will also be on the committee. So I've met with both of them, and they look forward to being on the committee. Later this year, we will come back to the council with recommendations for your review and consideration. We have none at this point, but we will have some in the future. But just a comment, we will have some recommendations for 2026 to purchase in advance of 27, because our line item is $10,000, and that probably isn't enough to get everything done in 1 year. So we will look at purchasing some things in advance of the 27th. And now the announcement. We're in a different hat, and that is the Washburn Heritage Association. We're pleased to announce that we are making available facade grants again this year. The facade grants are to improve the character of our community, to maintain integrity of buildings, and to preserve structures. We have $10,000 available, and that may be a grant to one applicant or could be multiple applicants, depending on the kinds of interest and applicants that we receive. The applications are due March 16, and they are, well, first of all, we've distributed information to all the businesses that would be interested, potentially applicants. And information is also available on the WHA website, and the application is also on the website and can be filled in online. Our website is washburnheritage.com, washburnheritage.com. It's exciting to, I wish we had more money, but 10,000 is what we have for this year. And it can, buy windows, it can buy doors, maybe some siding, certainly paint. So if you are a business owner, or if you know people that are, get them interested in that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Karen. I gave you a few extra seconds because you wore two different hats.
I timed it.
All right, very good. Anyone else here who would like to give public comment?
Jewel Pickard, 17 East 3rd Street, Washburn. I wanted to speak against the resolution regarding the school, that the school board is proposing. So there would be more taxes for the taxpayers, the difference between what the public schools get versus what monies go to the private schools for any students that go to the private schools. To me, we have a marketplace of ideas, and if they want more students, more people to go to the public schools, they have to excel and win on the marketplace of ideas. And I don't think the taxpayers should have to pay for that difference in perpetuity because a parent is taking their students to the private school, or even if they're homeschooled. To me, it's kind of like a punishment tax for those two. And I also believe that, we already have a referendum and they already have other taxes. We're taxed enough in the city. And the other thing is, if you want to excel in the marketplace of ideas, you have to make sure that you don't incorporate political agendas in the school, whether you have walkouts or whatever. That sort of thing isn't something that I would want to have to pay with my tax dollars or anything like that. So I think there are things the school can do to attract more students to the school, for the public schools, that is. I'm also speaking against the Minneapolis resolution because Washburn is not Minneapolis, and I'm not quite sure why we're injecting ourselves into that political situation. It mentioned there were multiple murders. Actually, 2 people were killed. Murder is a word that where you're talking about intent. I think a court of law would be the ones deciding intent, not some sort of a mob justice sort of thing. And what's happening in Minneapolis is not peaceful. It's they're throwing rocks, bricks, bottles with ice, firecrackers at ICE agents. None of that is peaceful. They're taunting them and everything else. They're getting in the way of the law enforcement operations there. And so I just don't know why Washburn would want to be inserting itself in that. It is illegal for people to interfere with law enforcement operations there or anywhere else. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joel. Anyone else here for public comment? Anyone online wish to give public comment? Seeing none, I think we can move on. The next item then is mayoral announcements, proclamations, and appointments. First, I want to start out by thanking the Ad hoc Beautification Committee, Karen especially, and Susan, who's stepping down, and all the members who have given time to help with planning and continue to do so. Really, really appreciate it. The second thing, of course, I'm sure as everyone is aware, the Olympics are happening and our Duluth curlers have made it to the gold medal competition. So pretty exciting to have someone so close to home, doing so well at the Olympics. Make sure you watch if you can. Number 3, quick update on the organizational assessment that's happening. So I did speak with the firm this morning along with Scott Rasmussen, who's helping out with that, and they are making good progress. They've talked to our employees, they're putting together the job, they're taking the job descriptions and trying to rework them in a few different ways to give us some options. And I think they'd like to give us a presentation of where they are so far. If we could maybe even have a special meeting sometime next week, and it could just be an online thing if we want, or some of us could be in person, and I think I won't make Sean drive here for that one, but maybe when we get to the final stages of deciding what we're going to do, he could be here in person. I think that would be helpful. So maybe look for an email. I don't know if Mondays are good for people since we have this on Monday, but we could potentially do it next Monday. Just throwing that out there, food for thought, and we'll send out an email just to see if we can get everybody on board for that. So that's exciting. We're making progress. Next. I just went to Madison last week for the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Board meeting. I'm also on the selection committee for the next CEO of the League. So that's kind of a big transition in the League. They don't have very much turnover there in that position. There's only been, I think, 5 of them the whole time that the League has existed, and Jerry's been there for 20 years. And so that's an extra role that I'm playing, but we did the evaluation for the current CEO while I was down there, along with some planning for the new one coming into that process. And I'll be the president when we evaluate the new CEO next year. So it's just a lot of interesting learning, and it's really it's kind of a big deal to make sure that that organization has good leadership and keeps going on a good path. They're doing really great things. The League Insurance is a partner with the League, and we get quite a bit of funding. I want to say about $500,000 from the League Insurance. And we share a few employees with that organization, and it just makes it really efficient, and they continue to do really good things. They actually, I think they pay for up to 3 people from the city, if you're a League member, to go to the spring conference. And so we'll have to discuss if anybody is interested in going to that spring conference. That would be something that would be available free of charge. And then just looking at legislative sessions are ending. I think the assembly ends in 10 days or so here in February, and then the Senate ends in March. That's the end of the legislative session. So then we're going to get into planning for legislative priorities for the next 2-year session once we see how elections turn out and all those things, and who wins the House and the Senate. Really good focus work they do on taking positions on things that would help municipalities and arguing against legislation that would be bad for municipalities. That's the biggest thing that organization does, in addition to, of course, just helping with information and resources. Next, the CDBG grant that we are applying for funding to do some road work. Thanks to Don and his hard work, we, I think, met the threshold and got enough people surveyed. So that has been submitted and hopefully will be a positive result. So thank you. Really, really appreciate your work. And last but not least, I believe we're gonna have a council vacancy coming up. Doug is gonna be moving to another area of the city. So just a heads up, anyone in that district who's interested in being appointed to that seat, I think we're just gonna open it up. If for some reason no one steps forward and Doug is still interested, there's a potential for us being able to appoint him back to that as an appointee to finish out the term. So we'll just kind of see how that goes as that gets closer and we put it out to the public. So I think that's it. Announcements, and I don't have any proclamations or appointments. So we will move on to discussion on resolution for notification of school voucher payments on property tax bills with Sandy Respotnik from the Washburn School Board as the petitioner. There you are, okay. So you two are here?
Yeah, we're here.
To speak, okay. If you would like to come on up, this is tab 1 of your packet. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to review this. And I just had one correction for you, I think it is. On the resolution, the 4th paragraph, it says the city legislature. I think that is the state legislature. Okay.
Yes, definitely. Good catch.
My husband actually. And maybe a couple other edits too, but if you want to go ahead and just maybe share the thought behind this and what your process is moving forward, and introduce yourselves.
I'm Julie Flatus, I'm a board member. Stephanie Green, also board member. So the purpose of this is to just disclose the amount of tax dollars that are going to the voucher schools. That's it. It's for clarity as a part of our budget. So that is money that our school doesn't receive, and the voucher school will receive that money.
And
That's all.
that's been happening for a while. Do you want to?
If I can give some of an update as well.
Yeah.
Since I was on school board when this first started to become an issue as well, so I'm familiar from a school board side and the city side. Since 2015, 2016. So there's public comment about not needing more tax money to go towards this. This is actually something that resident tax dollars are going to pay for services outside of our city. It's already being done. So this is just a requesting to provide additional information to taxpayers as to where their tax dollars are being spent. That it is being spent outside of our school district because of this statewide mandate here. This money has been being spent from Washburn School District taxpayers, has been being spent outside of our school district since 2016. But there hasn't been a way to effectively communicate that to the taxpayers when they pay their taxes. Now, if people are wanting to find that information, school district makes it very well known, makes it very clear how much of their tax levy goes towards these out-of-district voucher programs. But those aren't included when the tax bills go out because it can't be. The school district cannot have that addition or direct input on the tax bills to include that information. So this request that is coming forward, from my understanding, is the school district asking all of the municipalities, so this would need to be a uniform position from all of the municipalities within the Washburn School District to include this as additional information on the tax bill. If this were, so I don't think tonight this council is being asked to actually take any action. This is introducing this idea. I will honestly say that I've been doing work trying to figure out the specific requirements for the city to implement this if the council wants to go forward with it. So this is more of an informational update, saying this is what the school district is trying to do to get this information out. It's no change to the tax levy, no change to anything that's happening to taxpayers, it's more of an informational service. So what this is proposing is to include this information showing how much of the school district's tax levy is being spent outside of our district. And that information would be included on, when you get your tax bill, you get the front page that says all the amounts that are being levied. This, since it is not required by statute, would be included in the additional information on the second page or the back side of that tax bill. So it still wouldn't be on the front, it can't be on the front, but that's where it does, so that people, they don't need to look at additional information to see this, or additional documents or school board documents to see this. I will say too that there is currently a bill pending in the state legislature that would require this information to be on the property tax bills. And it has been sponsored, it's a bipartisan sponsorship, which is very rare nowadays, but who knows if anything will pass. So this is kind of the school district's looking at multiple options here to get this information out. This one being voluntary, and the other one, I didn't know that I think that the school district is supporting the legislation that would require this as to be required information on the tax bills. So kind of two ways to do it. And if I misstated anything, clarify that, but
No, you're exactly correct.
Great job.
Yes, you did. And just a note on the side, I'm on the CISA board 12 board also. And meeting with the other districts, they're all trying to do this. And throughout Wisconsin, they are, just for clarity and transparency.
And just another note for everyone, the more money that goes to the voucher programs, the less money is going to the schools, and then the more we have to raise property taxes to make up for that. So that's how that all
Or the
affects
school
each
has
other.
to do budget cuts. Right.
Or do budget cuts, correct. So just sharing information, that's all you're trying to do,
Yes.
of what's actually happening already.
Yes.
All right, anyone have questions for Julie or Stephanie or Max? Looks like we'll be looking at this then for action, maybe at the next meeting perhaps. All right, thank you so much for coming tonight
Thank you.
and for bringing it
You made
forward.
it really difficult. Yes.
All right, next item is discussion and action on resolution number 26002, condemnation of fatal shootings in Minnesota and expression of solidarity. This is tab 2 of your packet. I know a lot of people in our area and across the country have lots of feelings right now about what's happening. I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea just to put something out there to let council have a discussion and have an opportunity to make a statement if you so choose, or not if you don't. No skin in the game here, other than making sure that everyone has a chance to have a discussion and a voice on the matter. I know Doug had taken a look at it before and Tony actually helped find the wording based on another city's resolution that they had done already. So thank you to Tony for doing that. And then I ran it by Doug just because I know as a veteran, he had some feelings about, the the gentleman who worked at the Veterans Hospital in particular, there was a tie there, so I asked him to take a look at the wording. He did have a suggestion that I didn't write down at the time, because I was talking to him on the phone and not able to do that. So I was hoping he'd be here tonight, but seeing that he's not, I'm just gonna put it out there. If anyone would like to make a motion to get us started with discussion.
I'll make a motion.
To approve the resolution?
Yes.
Okay. So motion by Dave, second by Don. And discussion. Anyone?
What was Doug's suggestion?
I can't remember, and that's why I was hoping he would be here. It was just, he wanted to add one more thing, I think.
There was something that you gave me
Did I, from what Doug had
that
said?
I
Oh, I did send it to
did
you.
update you.
Oh, you updated it?
Yeah,
Thank you. That's fantastic. So it
it
is,
was the very first sentence, protection of human life, and his inclusion was and the US Constitution.
thank you.
And there was another thing as well, I have to look at it again. You just wanted added something to it, yeah, so you did get me some
Okay,
changes.
excellent.
So it's an interesting resolution. It doesn't really do a whole lot other than clarify how we as a council feel about this. It seems pretty right on. I'm wondering if there's any amendments we could add to it to maybe take a little more active role. For example, I know in Twin Cities, people are recording everything that these enforcement actions are involved with. Can we direct our own police department to activate their body worn cameras if they're interacting with federal law enforcement, just as another source of information?
I would say that that would require some official change to the body camera policy of the city and shouldn't be done through a resolution like this.
What
But
would it
that's
take?
another,
What would it take to explore that?
Asking Mary to, or in city staff to have that come up.
Okay.
Request a review of that policy and we can get information to people to see if that is needed. But I would say that that isn't something that should or could be done through this type of resolution.
Sure. I'm just thinking body worn cameras are there for everyone's protection, the officers, the people they're interacting with. And I don't see why law enforcement should be treated differently than any other civilian. I mean, if there's an interaction, it probably should be recorded and that information should be kept for maybe up to 10 years in case there are lawsuits. We need to collect whatever evidence we can.
okay, so that's your official request to review the body cam policy.
Yes, please.
All right, we can do that. Anything on this resolution in particular?
I've got lots to say about everything that's going on. First thing, as far as the resolution goes, I would say we replace or switch the protection of the US Constitution and human life in that order. Because nothing in this country is more important than that piece of paper that was signed a few hundred years, 250 years ago. And human life doesn't really matter if it's not worth living. And we've all grown accustomed to the rule of law and how it's enforced in this country. There's been a few times, one in particular that I can think of offhand, and where there was, from the top down, an egregious violation of civil rights upon the citizens of this country, and that was during World War II when we put Japanese citizens in internment camps. And I think we can all agree that that was probably the wrong thing to do. And for anyone to support what's happening today is going to be on the wrong side of history. It's very frustrating when we have clear violations of the Fourth Amendment on most likely at least an hour by hour account in America every day. And this isn't a group of rogue agents acting on their own, because that's something we can handle. This is from the top down. This is policy driven. And it cannot stand. And if you have functioning eyeballs and a comprehension of the English language, and you see what's happening today, and you still support it, you are not an American. And every American should be standing side by side with every single person in the US. It cannot stand. And this isn't anything against ICE enforcement. We should have immigration policies and the ability to enforce immigration laws. This isn't what's happening. What's happening today it is one of the most egregious civil rights violations ever perpetrated on the American people. And, you know, as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this. So before I say anything that I'm going to regret, I'll keep it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have comments, discussion?
I've just got one more thing. In this country for a long time, there was a tradition where local elected leaders, mayors, would read the Declaration of Independence on the 4th of July. I read that a couple times last week, and can I make a request that maybe you could have a public reading of the Declaration of Independence on the 4th of July to celebrate the country's birthday?
Unfortunately, I think I'm going to be out of town on the 4th of July
Shucks.
on purpose this year. I think I'm going to be in Canada, but kind of a personal statement of my own.
Okay.
But at some point,
Oh.
that's definitely something that I would consider.
I know there's a little bit of problematic language in that document at the very end, but I think when you read it, you see a lot of echoes of history happening today. And, yeah, I agree with Dave. This is outrageous.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments, discussion?
I just wanted to clarify if Dave's comments there were actually a request to amend,
Did you want to make a
Change
motion
the-
to amend?
I would like to.
so that John would accept that.
Is it okay with that
Yeah,
amendment? Okay, then let's vote on that amendment. All in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so then any other discussion before we vote on the resolution
I
as
just,
amended?
Hey, Mary?
Yes, Jen,
Oh, you can hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, all right, well then I'm back in business. I put some things in the chat. As far as I've been on council, we typically don't, and I think Mary, you and I talked about this a bit. I would just like to make sure that this is the role of our city council and our city of Washburn. For me, it's not a matter if I don't like my personal feelings on this. It's more of what our role as a city is. You know, we've done our ordinance, we've done what we can within our law and regulation of what we're in control of. And so I guess, Max, I'd like to hear a little bit more from you in terms of like, I just think this is a slippery slope for our city to make these kind of, I don't know, resolutions. We don't typically do these, I think, so it's not that I don't agree with it, I just don't take it lightly for us to go down this avenue. So I guess, Max, can you talk a little bit about the role of the city of Washburn in resolutions, please?
yes, and I was just going to give my comment on this when you came through on the audio. I will say that from a legal standpoint, legal perspective, There is no legal requirement or need or role for this type of symbolic resolution. When these types of, and this is a symbolic resolution because City of Washburn has no legal authority over these actions and these items that are being discussed. If a symbolic resolution is proposed for the city, there have been several. I know we had these discussions on some, and I review them and I weigh in and give feedback on them if, for one, my position from a legal standpoint always is that symbolic resolutions are unnecessary. I don't get involved in policy considerations or anything else like that. That's for you guys. So that's not me saying whether I support this or not. It's just a legal position. The second thing that I do to look at from a city's perspective is whether a resolution that's proposed, a symbolic resolution, contains any statements or commitments that might somehow in the future be used against the city. I reviewed this proposed symbolic resolution here, and I don't think that there's anything in here that could be potentially used against the city in the future. There was a statement in public comment that the resolution shouldn't be approved because it prejudges these items as murders or something like that. This resolution does not contain any reference to murder. It doesn't contain any reference to prejudging what happened or the outcome of any investigation. It just calls for a full investigation. If this resolution did classify these actions as murders, I probably would have made that comment that the city should not prejudge that because there has not been a full factual investigation yet. So that's my opinion on this. I'd be happy to elaborate on anything else if there are more questions.
Okay, anyone else?
Thank you, Max. That was very helpful.
Gary?
And I agree with Dave on this. It's a huge thing right now in our country, but I also am at the same point of I'm not sure what this does, other than almost like I'm sorry. But I agree there is big, huge problems right now in the country. But I don't know what this does. I read it and I don't understand. I mean, there's, not to belittle what's happened in Minnesota right now, but I mean, there's lots of things around this. There's been lots of bad things happening from coast to coast. So it feels kind of weird for me to pick one specific instance, I guess. And I hope that if and when, or when and if something happens in our beautiful community, that things will be handled appropriately. But I don't think this, again, it's a weird one for me. I'm kind of torn up. I agree, but yet, is it something we need to do?
Sure. Just to address what does it do, I guess those 4 bullet points are the
Right.
summary of what it's doing. So condemning the use of lethal force, expressing sympathy and solidarity, affirming the protection of life and civil liberties must guide the conduct of all law enforcement, encouraging respect for peaceful civic engagement and de-escalation of conflict. So, it's supporting some concrete concepts, and even though it's not, we can't make anybody do that, but we're saying that we believe that. And I think the more people that say we believe that, the better. So I guess that's why I brought it forward.
We would at least go down in history books as a community that stood for the U.S. Constitution.
Agreed. Anyone else?
And I also see in that last bullet point, encourages respect for peaceful civic engagement, de-escalation of conflict, while urging all levels of government to work towards policies. I think that's important, because we can work towards policies. And I think we should begin that process. And I think this is a good statement of value, lead towards that.
And that's as commented earlier on the body cam policy. I can say that I reviewed this as well with the city's use of force policy, officer involved death policy, all of those are in line or not in conflict with this proposed resolution.
Okay, if there's not any other discussion, we'll go ahead and take a vote on the resolution as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I just want to make sure that Jen says yes or no one way or the other.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now I can, yeah.
Okay, I'm an aye. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Moving on to, thank you everyone for taking the time to consider that. Moving on to tab 3, discussion and action on adjustments for ATV, UTV traffic into the city. And this reminds me that I did forget one other announcement. Am I able to go back and make one more quick announcement? The Snowmobile Club and the bike group, the NCCA, has been meeting diligently to try to come up with a resolution for the snowmobile trail reroute, and they have come up with a design. Tommy has gone the extra mile to go back and move some things around so that the snowmobile trail can remain where it is on the first half of that property, and then go down and avoid the second half of the property, and it should all work out. So just wanted to report good progress has been made, and everybody has worked together really well. So we're getting close on that. So on to ATVs now. So the ATV trail, at one point was rerouted, but I don't know that we ever followed through with an ordinance, because that property never was purchased for the development that was being discussed. So we do have all the ATV roads open to ATV and UTV use in the city, so that shouldn't be a problem for ATVs just to use the road route now instead. So because we are going to have a change, as you read in Chief Johnson's memo, we are going to have a change in the ability to access the city because of the highway project coming up in 2027. In addition to the fact that that access is restricted on that side of town, this request is being made by it's a snowmobile and ATV club together now. And so they are making that request of us to consider, so that we would then request it from the highway committee at the county level, and then if the highway committee approves it, it goes to the full board for approval. So this is the first of a multi-step process. Excuse me. Does anyone care to make a motion on this to get us moving forward with discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jared, second by Darren to approve the, would there be a change in the ordinance?
So this would just be to
Request.
request the
request,
county change in this. So then if this is all approved by the county, it comes back to the city, we would need to change our ordinances to incorporate it. But we can't change our ordinances until this gets approved.
So it would go to the highway committee Wednesday of this week, actually. I asked for it to be on their agenda already, just in case. Are there any questions or comments, discussion about?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Jen.
Do we know why, it seems weird. Do we know why that it was, from McKinley to Big Rock that's a lot of road strips there that's open right now.
Yeah.
Do we know why initially it was not opened from Big Rock to Washburn? Do we have any history on that, or is it just was a misstep there?
I think it was just never requested. I think that trail or the road comes over from the west on McKinley, and then it needed to connect further north. So, that was the section that was approved. I don't think it came up as a request from anyone to do this connector part. So it's unfortunately been very piecemeal. There are like 30 amendments to the ATV ordinance at the county, making these little corrections and additions, which is why there had been an effort to just make all county roads open to ATVs and UTVs, but there's pushback on that. So we continue the process of just making little bits and pieces open where it makes sense. So this is just part of the process.
And to answer that from the city's perspective, the city never included this section as part of the ATV route because first the county had to do it.
Right.
It's not that the city specifically said, hey, we don't want ATVs here. It said, oh, the county needs to do it first.
Well, and now that all the
Yes.
roads are open to
Yes.
ATVs, it makes much more sense to.
Okay, yeah, because it does make sense to enter our city along Big Rock and Mackey Road in Washington. There's just less traffic on those roads, but I understand like the situation has changed and we've just opened up everything to ATVs and UTVs. So I support this because I don't think anymore. I think initially we were trying to get those motor vehicles on like less, traveled routes, and that made sense for a long time, but I don't think it makes sense anymore. So I'm in support of this.
All right, thank you. Anyone else with any comments or discussion?
The only concern I would have is a safety concern, right? County C, the speed is quite a bit higher than every other road in town. But since our chief of police is in favor of this, I trust his judgment on the matter. I think, yeah, this makes sense.
Very good. All right, anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And, Tony, do you need to be in touch for any reason with the county or to let them know that this passed?
I guess I don't know.
I think letting them know so that they can move forward with that being
I
requested.
think we need like an official
Yeah.
letter, or memo or something, so that they can, include that in their meeting. That would be helpful, thank you. Okay,
And that was on Wednesday night?
that's Wednesday night, yep. So if you have questions, I can talk with you tomorrow. Okay, next item is discussion and action on public works equipment purchase. This is tab 4 of your packet.
Make a motion to approve the request for remaining funds to be used for purchase of the bucket truck.
All right, motion by Dave,
Second.
second by Don. I guess my only question, Curly, was, and if you don't mind coming up to the microphone, I know you love that. If you could just share the status of the existing bucket truck with everyone, I don't think that was included in the memo.
Yeah, we don't have one.
So we had one up until,
Up until last summer, I guess, and OSHA came in, and said it was too old, wasn't inspectable for the boom. And they said red tape it basically, to get rid of it.
so it's pretty much a necessity that we need to do something. And you found one that's
Found one,
within the amount of money that we have left?
Actually, less.
Or
Found one
less?
for $7,500. That will meter needs.
Really?
That's in relatively nice shape for the year.
Good
After
for,
looking at 5 of them.
good for, Eric, did you have a question?
I was just wanted some clarification because when we approved the disposal of the one last year, we were told we only needed to rent a lift like 2 times a year for $2,000.
Oh. Is that
So-
what the plan was?
That's what the plan was in August, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's, we still can, but you keep renting every year, and,
Yeah.
$2,000 every year.
So we got $7,500.
That makes sense.
Do you think you can get 3.5 years out of it?
Well, way longer than that.
Sounds like a smart financial decision.
And one more point, and I don't know if this was ever considered when we disposed of it. But the city now owns all of these lights, or not all of them,
Most.
Most of them. And we're gonna be responsible for changing light bulbs and that kind of thing before Xcel Energy did it. There's really one way to get out there to do it is with the money truck, so, or the most efficient way.
So we're gonna need it more than a couple times a year.
I would think, yeah. Eventually.
Eventually. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other questions for Curly or discussion?
So you have a vehicle that has been identified and you have a current cost.
About $7,500.
Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving right along, our next item is discussion and action on personnel committee recommendation on pay rate increase for paid on call EMTs and EMRs. This is tab 5 of your packet. And let's see. We have a memo from Tony on this, we've talked about this. If the need is there, the personnel committee counted out what they thought was a good solution as best as we can, given our budget. There were two different issues here, let's see.
Ted's here, there's a question.
Sure. So are we just doing the pay rate increase? Does that include both parts of this, the back pay issue in 2026?
Did we
You
get-
should do separate motions for each one.
I'm just making sure it's included in the item as listed.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you get, ask Scott if we can go
Yes.
back in the fiscal year for
Yes,
the
and
back?
he said no.
You cannot. Okay.
And I think Tony kind of addressed that a little bit here at the end of this. But he didn't feel that the amount was gonna cause any issues in our 2026 budget. It was a small enough amount, the $2,500, that we should be fine.
So we're looking for a motion?
Yep.
I'll make the motion that we move ahead with proposal number 3
For the pay rate increase.
for the pay rate increase and the on-call pay.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Darren, second by Eric. Any questions on the option number 3 recommendation? Basically, I think the personnel committee met with Ted and Joseph from the ambulance service and taking all the factors into consideration that seem to be the best way to give incentive to the most people to do on-call work, to cover the hours that need to be covered, and that extra $20 added on to an overnight call to make that more attractive as well for someone to answer the call. As opposed to, doubling the night on-call pay, but leaving the rest at $3, they went through it all, and that's definitely the preferred option. So any questions, comments, or discussion?
Mary, I have a comment.
Yeah.
I attended that personnel committee meeting, and I think just something to think about, and Darren, you can help me if I get this wrong, but it's gonna take some time. We're not gonna, the solution is, this is gonna help, but, like incentives to get more people to join and take more hours and this kind of stuff, like, we're not gonna have It's not gonna be solved overnight, so you have to be patient. This is like one step in the right direction, but I think it's a really good step in that direction.
Agreed, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming to that meeting too.
And I would say that probably the projected benefit time for this is gonna hit in 27. And, you know, we're already, you know, operating on limited staff, limited responses. I believe we're already over on the AFD coverage. So it's things like that that's gonna take a little bit of time to come back from, but with the presentation that we received, I do believe that 27, we're gonna see the benefits of it.
Yeah, I agree. You just didn't want to think FO state like this was gonna be the end solution quickly.
Yes, a small step towards making things a little better. Ted, do you have anything you wanted to add, or?
You all covered it beautifully. You're the one who put this together, all this information?
Joseph did.
Okay. Tell him you did a great job. Yeah, really easy to follow. Good.
Very good. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Nothing motion.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then, the other part is the back pay issue. So it looks like what happened was, this was verbally agreed to, and in the budget process, which was started by one administrator, the one part of it was fixed, taking away the $10 run report, and then the other part was never put on to the other part, which was to put it back so that it got divided between all the attendants. So, or to the run pay. So this is just fixing that. And we all know there was a lot going on during budget time. So, motion on the back pay?
I'll make a motion to approve the back pay in the amount of 25. What is that?
74.
2574.
I'll second that.
That was a motion by Darren, second by Jared. Any questions on that one? Comments or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, there we go. One step closer to making things a little tiny bit better. And trying to fill in that big hole. Thank you for all your work, everybody on the ambulance service. All right. Our next item is discussion and action on personnel committee recommendation on personnel policy changes for employee EMT, EMR incentives, and paid vacation. So this was another thing that came up in our conversation, and we really, I think Eric, you brought up the fact that we needed to kind of take a look at the vacation schedule in general. So we're looking at this updated information, and I guess we should start out, bless you, with a motion so that we can have discussion.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Eric, second by Darren. And does anyone have questions, comments, or would like to discuss this at all? Or if you'd like Ted to say anything about it, or Eric?
My question is, does this apply to all city employees, or is it just for the EMT, EMR?
I was trying to remember that quickly.
No, it's also.
All city employees.
So if we end up reorganizing things, how would that affect, I don't know how we would reorganize, but if, say you had to
So
apply for a new
this item
job.
has two parts to it. Vacation is one part, and then the EMTMR bonuses is another part, incentive.
Okay, so
I don't believe it pertained to law enforcement.
Correct. I was
They
gonna
have
make
their
that
own
comment, they have their own
contract.
contract.
Correct.
So it doesn't change the contract for law enforcement.
Yeah, but I guess my question is, if when we reorganize here at the administrative end of things, if we have to hire somebody at a new position, is that going to affect the vacation hours that they've accrued already? Is this going to-
It should not, we typically, that gets addressed when the new position is established. And it's also part of negotiation if you hire people from outside. Sometimes they'll bring them in and say, okay, in your contract here, you're starting as if you had more years' experience than none. But yeah, if someone were to transition with the reorganization from treasurer to city clerk or something like that, they wouldn't start over at zero.
Okay, just want to make sure we're not
Yeah.
making a big mistake.
Yeah, this is,
Because they are employees of the city. And this also, as the policy identifies, it is retroactive to the beginning of the year. So any employees currently, they would get the increase as well from whatever their year is with the city.
And the other part in here was, before, the old policy was vacation to be taken in 1 day increments, and we removed that to just 1 hour increments, so you can take half of it.
yeah, just to make it more flexible for employees to be able to leave an hour early for an appointment instead of having to take a whole day off. You could just take an hour or two.
And a new employee will start with a week's vacation. So like when I started, I didn't get any vacation for 6 months. And then it was prorated until my anniversary.
So, just in recognition of the fact that everyone is, employers everywhere are trying to, I think, be more competitive and attractive with their benefit packages, because that's something that you can have a little flexibility with and use that as a tool to both recruit and retain good employees. I think it's a wise move to make some changes, so thank you, Erin, for bringing this up. So we do have two separate, is the motion to approve both of these things together? The EMT, EMR incentives and the paid vacation, or do we want to do this separately?
We do it separately, so I'll make a motion to approve vacation.
For the vacation, okay.
Second.
Well, Darren, you were the second on this, or were you the second on that?
I was the second originally, yeah.
So you wanted to stay the second on
I'll second
the vacation? Okay.
vacation only.
All right. Any other questions on the vacation part of what we're looking at? Personnel reviewed it and came up, I think, with a really good plan, so. Seeing no more questions or discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then next, we're looking at the EMT, EMR incentives. So this gets a little complicated, because just I'm trying to wrap your head around why this is even a thing, but because some of our employees are EMTs or EMRs, we have to try to make things equivalent in a way that we can legally, because of hourly wage issues and, we want to be able to compensate them, but we just have to do it in a different way, as to not affect other parts of, I don't know, am I saying that?
Yeah.
Accurately?
It has to be classified as different type of work, different way to compensate them outside of their official duties.
Right.
And not penalize them if needed to go on call during other scheduled work hours.
So this is a way to do that. This is making an adjustment based on the adjustments in the hourly rates.
Yeah, so this is with the new, with the new on-call rate that council just passed, we would need to update the employee incentive to the policy. So that's what this is.
All right, so is there a motion on this item?
Gosh.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Dave,
Second.
Second, I'll take Eric, even though Jared started to. Any questions, comments, or discussion? Giving everyone a minute, because this is a complicated thing, but it makes sense. And personnel took a good look at this one again. So,
And I guess maybe I missed it or something about the city employees not eligible for the on-call. Was that ran through a different employee relations attorney, I guess?
That's
I spoke-
required.
I spoke to the attorney again.
You did.
They are not eligible for that.
and didn't you even send the
I
state
sent the
information?
state information to him, and the one thing that he pointed out was, you know, with an hourly employee, now factoring in their payroll, there's 3 different pay levels. Their current wage, the on-call wage, and then when they do take call, that wage as well. It's just a whole bunch of stuff in a pay period.
So he's saying he just
But
doesn't
this was an
recommend
easier
it?
thing too.
It was just an easier thing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that you couldn't do it, it's just that he's recommending that we don't do it.
And I asked them about and the difference as well is, because our public works get an on-call rate, but that is at their salary. So is that whatever they're getting from the salary? In this case, the pay for a employee being an EMTMR is different.
So just for a city of our size, it gets very complicated for someone trying to do payroll, I think, if nothing else.
In the way that when this bonus and incentive was initially set up, it was done so because if you're looking at numbers and looking at everything, we found out that employees who were EMT, EMR actually were financially penalized for doing that because when they did calls and when they did these services, they got to pay less than they would have had they been working. So this was set up in the way that this is established is so that they actually get additional pay for these services. It seems a bit odd, but it ends up, we looked at a bunch of different options for it. And the one that it is right now, while being compliant with wage and hour laws, seem to be the most beneficial to employees.
Good.
So this doesn't go into all the reasons why we did this in the first place, it just,
Right.
it bumps it up to be equal to, with the new on-call rates and the new rates for that.
Okay, any other questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Jen. Sorry, I didn't wait for you. Okay. Next item, tab 7, discussion and action on approval of Class B beer and Class B liquor licenses for Lost Apostle Brewery at 206 West Bayfield Street.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jared, second by Dave. Any questions, comments, or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and I don't think he's gonna be open for the vote across the bay, but shortly thereafter, so stay tuned. It's finally coming to fruition. It's happening. And don't forget that this is Vote Across the Bay weekend. Again, thanks to Don for organizing all the volunteers on this side of the bay. Do we still need Christmas trees then? No, we're good?
Good.
Excellent. Thank you very much for all your work on that event.
Thank you and Don.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
And everyone, yes. Get out and watch the start if you want. Should be a fun time. And that's it. With that, we are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Drive safely. She had to pull over on her way back from it. It's a well-worn path, Madison, Washington. Yeah.
Especially for you these days.
I know, right? Well, this year.